The morning mist clung low to the jagged peaks of the Blackwood Mountains, a familiar shroud over the remote mining town of Oakhaven. It was September 17th, 1952. The air, crisp and hinting at the coming autumn, carried the faint, rhythmic clang of pickaxes from the deep tunnels below, or so it should have. In the small, weathered general store, Elias Thorne, a man whose face was etched with decades of Oakhaven's dust and dim light, was wiping down his counter. The scent of fresh-baked bread, delivered just moments before by old Mrs. Henderson, mingled with the faint aroma of coal smoke. Outside, the sun was just beginning to burn through the fog, promising another ordinary day in a town built on rock and routine. Miners would soon be trickling in for their morning coffee. Children would be heading to the one-room schoolhouse, and the predictable rhythm of Oakhaven would begin its daily hum. But that day, the hum never started. Later that morning, around 9 a.m., a delivery truck carrying supplies from the nearest city, nearly 3 hours away, rumbled into Oakhaven. The driver, a seasoned man named Arthur Finch, had made this run twice a week for years. He knew the town's rhythms, its sounds, its smells. As he rounded the final bend, expecting to see the usual flurry of activity, a strange stillness fell over him. The silence was the first thing that struck you, a profound, unnatural stillness. There were no children playing in the dirt streets, no miners gathering outside the shaft entrance, no smoke curling lazily from chimneys. Arthur drove slowly past the rows of simple wooden homes, his brow furrowed. He honked his horn, a loud, jarring sound that echoed unnervingly in the quiet. No response. He pulled up to Elias Thorne's general store, its door ajar, exactly as Elias had left it. Arthur pushed the door open, the bell above it jingling with a sound that felt entirely too loud. "Elias? Anyone here?" His voice, usually booming, was swallowed by the emptiness. A half-eaten breakfast sat on the counter behind the register, a plate with a half-finished biscuit, a cup of coffee still steaming faintly. The morning paper lay open, unread, beside it. He checked the post office next, then the schoolhouse. Nothing. Every door was unlocked. Every building was empty. It took Arthur Finch several hours to drive back to civilization and report what he had seen. The authorities were, understandably, skeptical. A whole town, gone. But Arthur was a reliable man, and his description of the eerie, silent village was chilling enough to warrant an immediate investigation. By late afternoon, a small detachment of police and federal agents had arrived in Oakhaven. What they found confirmed Arthur's unsettling account. The town was utterly deserted. Every single one of its 317 inhabitants, men, women and children, had vanished. There were no signs of a struggle, no forced entry, no blood, nothing to suggest a violent abduction or a hurried escape. It was as if life itself had simply pressed pause, then vanished. In the general store, the cash register was open, full of money. In the doctor's office, instruments lay sterilized on a tray. In homes, meals were half prepared, clothes hung drying on lines, beds were unmade, toys lay scattered on floors. One family's car was still running, idling quietly in their driveway, the keys still in the ignition. In the schoolhouse, chalk sat poised on the blackboard, mid-sentence. A child's drawing of a smiling sun was pinned to the wall. The only truly unsettling detail was a single small pocket watch found on the mayor's desk, its hands frozen at 6:17. No one could say if this was AM or PM, or if it held any significance at all. Over the next few weeks, a thorough search was conducted. Every inch of Oakhaven and the surrounding Blackwood Mountains was combed. Teams searched for tracks, for signs, for anything. They found nothing. No mass graves, no abandoned camps, no desperate messages. The dense forest, the rugged terrain, it offered no answers. It simply swallowed the town's people whole. The investigators,
baffled and frustrated, began to piece together what little they had. The timeline suggested that whatever happened, it happened quickly, and perhaps during the early morning hours of September 17th. The undisturbed nature of everything pointed away from a violent attack or a natural disaster. There was no earthquake, no flood, no landslide reported in the area. Theories, of course, abounded. Some whispered of a mass exodus, a secret pact among the townspeople to abandon their isolated lives. But why leave everything behind? Why no note, no message, no forward planning? Others feared a cult, or a radical group that had somehow swayed the entire community. But again, the lack of any struggle, any evidence of coercion, made this difficult to believe. Then there were the darker, more speculative theories. Some spoke of an unknown illness that wiped out the population so quickly that their bodies simply dissolved, leaving no trace. Others suggested something paranormal, a collective disappearance, a rift in reality, a town swallowed by the very mountains it clung to. The isolation of Oakhaven only fueled these fantastical notions. To this day, the disappearance of Oakhaven remains one of the most perplexing unsolved mysteries. The town itself stands as a silent monument to its missing inhabitants. The buildings, though weathered, are largely as they were found, empty, waiting. The wind whispers through the vacant streets, carrying no answers, only questions. Oakhaven remains a ghost in the landscape, a monument to a question that refuses to be answered. What force, what event, what unknown circumstance could make an entire community simply cease to be? The Blackwood Mountains hold their secrets tight, and the silence of Oakhaven continues to echo year after unsettling year.